fine.
See, but you can't tell because it says you're going live, and then anyway, there's always a delay.
There's a delay,
Right? But we're live.
Oh, we're live.
Remember, cameras up there.
Oh, okay. We're live.
So hi, it's Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You and Ginny.
And Ginny.
Yay!
I'm here again.
Yes,
You're stuck with me.
No, we're glad you're here. We're sad. Mary, well, we knew Mary couldn't come today,
Right.
but got a call this morning that she had an eye thing and she had to go to the hospital. And so you have stuff. I was in the shop all day. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was a little weird day.
You had a weird day.
I had a very
you
weird
said
day.
You had a weird day.
I had a very weird day.
What happened?
Well, I had a doctor's appointment at 11 o'clock in Waldorf. So
Waldorf is like 30 miles north of the shop.
Right. And it takes anywhere from 45 to 55 minutes to get to parts of Waldorf from where I live here in Leonardtown. And so I always allow myself an hour to drive up to Waldorf. So at 10 o'clock this morning, I got into my 2010 Prius and proceeded up. I had a lovely conversation with my sister for about 20 minutes. And then I got onto the part of Route 5 that's up in Mechanicsville. And this alert came on my car that was one of those really sort of triangular red things that,
Yes.
Is like, this is really bad. Okay? And then the sign comes up and says, check hybrid system.
Oh, no.
And I can feel my car not continuing to accelerate. I'm going from like 55 to 52 to 49.
Oh my God.
And I'm actually coming.
Were you right on the road?
I'm on Route 5, right? And I gotten off the phone with my sister because I said to her, okay, so I'm on like the serious part of this drive onto the highway, and there's lots, more traffic. So I need to say goodbye. So this is sort of worrisome. But I'm coming up to a red light anyway. So I slow down and I stop at the red light, and this stuff is not leaving my, sign thing in my front of my car. And when the light turns green, the car really doesn't want to accelerate. So I pulled over and just on the side of the road on Route 5, and I get out the book that explains what those things mean. And what it says is stop immediately and call the Toyota dealer. I'm thinking, oh, this is not good.
That's like a check oil light. Just stop. Seesaw motor functions.
No, actually, it said you could cause an accident. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to do that, right? And I'm thinking, okay, so I'll call my Toyota dealer. Nah, I don't really use the Toyota dealer.
Did you call the Mennonites?
Yes. Ellen and her husband very nicely told us about this wonderful group of people who take care of cars, and they have been taking care of our cars for a good many years. And so I called them, and unfortunately, they don't take care of hybrid systems on Toyotas.
Are you sure? Didn't they get you a battery? They got you the battery before.
They got me a battery, but they don't take care of hybrid systems on Toyotas, right?
Oh, yes.
But they referred me to somebody.
Is it a Mennonite?
No.
Is that overpriced Toyota dealer?
No, actually it was a local. It was a local who happened to be about a quarter mile away from where I was stuck.
Did he come and get you?
No.
Did you walk?
They gave me the phone number, and I called them, and the fella said to me, he said, well, all you need to do is to get over, make a U-turn, and come back, and we'll be over on the left because we're, you can see us. We're right past a couple of the other things. He mentioned some of the businesses, and I said, oh, okay.
But what about the pullover? Immediately, you could cause an accident.
Well, that's what I said to him. I said, so can I really drive this? And he said, you can probably make it. So when there was no traffic, I waited until there was no traffic so that I could cross over from the shoulder to the left lane in order to make the U-turn and work my way back and sort of slide over into the shoulder on the left part. The way this part of Route 5 is, if you're not familiar with this, and you probably aren't, is
let's see who's on. So
there's a center area And so there's the northbound lane is on the right and the southbound lane is obviously on the left if you're going northbound, but there's this whole center area.
Right. There's
And-
like a median
And
strip.
this place was in the center area. So he said, just sort of turn yourself around and get over on the left and you'll be able to pull into the left. Right. And well, I made it. And it truly was. He said, I'll probably see you in about 5 minutes. And yeah, I made it in about 5 minutes. And I walked in and he said, you're the lady with the red Prius.
Oh my God. Hey, Rita. Hey, we have to greet our friends.
Oh, hi there.
Okay. So
Who's
we
there?
got Valerie.
Valerie.
Valerie in Great Britain. Hey, Valerie.
Hey, Valerie.
It's morning.
Right.
Early morning.
Early morning in Great Britain. Right.
Yes.
Well, actually it's 5 hours.
Right.
So it's 5 hours. So, oh my God. Yes.
I told you.
What are you doing up at this hour, Valerie?
She's watching us. She always watches us. I love Valerie.
Right. So, well, okay. It's not really early morning. It's 5 hour difference. So if it's 7 o'clock here, it's 11 o'clock there.
Oh,
Okay.
that's not so bad.
That's not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do hard math.
No, it's oh no, I'm sorry. It's 12 o'clock. I'm sorry. 5 hour difference. It's 7 o'clock here. It's 12 hours. It's midnight. It's midnight there.
Well, you get a lot of practice because Kaylee's there.
Yeah, because Kaylee's there.
Yes.
So-
Hey, Carolyn.
Carolyn?
Terry.
Carrie?
Terry, do you have us on our big screen?
Right.
Are we in the living room with you?
Yeah.
Hey, Evelyn. Nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to ask you a big favor. So you probably don't know to do this, but if you're watching on YouTube, either live or on any of the replays, if you like the video or the podcast, give it a thumbs up. Click the little button that has like the little thumb like this, and that'll give it a like. And that's important because that helps YouTube algorithm know that people like us,
People
and
like
then they
us.
show us. So
The
yes.
Ellen and Ginni show.
Yes, it's crazy.
So anyway, to go back to the thing, so I pull in, and I mean they're really nice. The guy
Were
says,
they Mennonites?
"No,
Okay.
no, they weren't Mennonites, but they do work with the Mennonites that we know. They know the Mennonites, and since
you
I
can
was referred
trust
to
them.
them by them, I know they were really very, very nice about the whole thing. But I had to call my husband, who was monitoring. He was proctoring an exam that he was giving down at St. Mary's College of Maryland. So to come and get me. So
What
my
time was this?
upshot.
You should have called me.
No, you were here at Ellen was here at the store, so I
Oh.
couldn't call her.
Yeah.
So, but at any rate,
Bill would have come to get
the
you.
upshot of this whole thing is there is a lesson to be learned
Oh,
for
my.
knitters.
Oh,
There-
you didn't have your knitting with you.
I did not have my knitting with me.
Oh, that
Oh my
sucks.
God, I did not have my knitting with me.
You should
And
always have a spare project in your car.
when my kids were younger and I was tracking them around from sports events and club events and that sort of thing, schools and stuff, I always had a knitting project in my car. And I did not have a knitting project in my car
Oh.
today. And I had 90 minutes where I sat in this place with my phone
Have you met
playing
my friend
Spider
Candy Crush?
Solitaire.
Have you met my friend Candy Crush?
No, I was doing Spider Solitaire.
Spider Solitaire.
I went through all of my emails. I trashed a whole bunch of stuff. But let me tell you, folks, you need to have a project in your car, whether it's something you're going to do on a regular basis or just something that is the project in the car project.
Yes, that would be my.
You
Noro
need a
blanket.
project in the car project. You need to have that there so that when you get stuck, you have something to do.
That
And
is very sage advice.
so that was my whole lesson for today was, okay, oh my God, why did I not bring my yarn with me? And,
What was I thinking?
what was I thinking that I didn't bring my yarn with me?
My
So-
goodness.
So,
You didn't even have a swatch to do
well, yeah, I mean, I had a swatch I was supposed to be doing and I hadn't brought it with me
because you were going to be at the doctor's.
because I was going to be at the doctor's and,
But I mean,
and it was
weren't
going to
you
be one of
thinking-
those quickie things.
It's never one of those.
It's
quickie
never one.
things.
Right, but
No, it
who,
never is.
who knew that I was going to be stuck for 90 minutes waiting for my husband to show up and pick me up? And my car is still up at the garage and we have no idea what's wrong and how much it's going to cost and whether we need to buy a new car.
Mm.
We just bought a new car, so
Yeah, you did. But it's not as reliable. Oh, wait. Well, I'm reliable.
actually the good thing was
Reliable how?
the guy said, so is it 2010 Prius? And I said, yes. He said, has a lot of miles on it. And I said, oh, fair amount. And he said, it's a Toyota. It'll be okay.
I love Toyotas. I'm a big Toyota girl.
Right. So, anyway,
so
there
tonight-
you go. My lesson for everybody today.
have knitting in your car. I think you should. I mean, I've seen people knit in the line at the grocery store. I think that's perhaps a little excessive, but you know, to each his own. But I always have something tucked in my purse, usually.
Yeah, there should be something. As I
There
said,
should be.
even if it's just something that you leave in the back seat of your car.
Yeah.
So that you can pull out.
A PhD.
Should the weird circumstance arrive.
Yes.
Who knew? Who knew? That's basically how I spent my morning today.
We always have to have our fix.
Yeah.
It's a fix.
It's a fix.
You can't go without.
Yeah.
It starts to shake.
Yeah. I mean, I was.
Oh my God, that's awful. Hey, Joan. Hey, Norma. Thanks for joining us. So we're going to talk about mixed fibers.
We are.
Blending fibers.
Right.
So last time we talked about mohair, and we discovered that the mohair in the Rowan Kid Classic was not carded and combed together, and but it was stranded. And I wanted to tell you, Carolyn, you asked me a really good question about if there are 3 strands of wool and 1 strand of mohair, why isn't it 75% wool and 25% mohair?
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I'm thinking it must have something to do with the fact that when fibers are combined, and we'll talk about this a little bit in terms of like Noro, when fibers are combined and they're listed on the label, did you know this? They're listed by weight. So like
Right.
I'm using Okunishima, my favorite, because I am totally in love with Angora. And Angora is so light compared to say wool that 20% is a huge amount. It's like saying, we're going to have a pound of a pillow fluff. It's a huge amount of volume, but it's not so much in terms of the weight. So it might be that I think the wool in the mohair is a little bit lighter than the mohair strand. So that's my thought. I don't know for sure, but also remember that those strands in the Kid Classic they themselves are plied. So it's not really a 1-to-1. So they're plied, a three ply of that, twisted. And so anyway, I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's definitely related to the fact that that the fiber components are listed by weight.
By weight. Yeah, I think they're right. That makes sense. That even though something weighs the same amount, what you visually see is more than than of one type of thing to another type of thing. Even though a pound of this and a pound of this don't look exactly the same.
Right.
It's like a pound of potatoes versus a pound of flour.
Or a pound of marshmallows.
Or a pound of marshmallows. One hell of a lot more marshmallows than there are potatoes, right?
I love marshmallows. Do you like marshmallows?
I do.
Have you ever made marshmallows?
I have not.
Do you know
that would be an Ellen thing?
I never have made marshmallows.
Oh, you haven't?
No, but I'll tell you who has. Who's that gal from the church? She has a daughter, Ruby.
Oh, Laura.
Laura and her husband have made marshmallows.
Yeah.
They made them. So, hey, Mindy. Oh, you've made them? You've made marshmallows?
Right.
Very cool.
Right.
Very cool. My goodness. You make them with like egg whites and sugar. I mean, it's kind of like making a
meringue.
7-minute frosting, I think.
Or a meringue.
But
I mean, I've made meringues.
But there's more stretchy and pulley stuff. Anyway, so what I did today is I pulled a bunch of swatches. We're going to play Guess the Swatch.
Guess the swatch.
Okay. And we're going to talk about all of the different.
Does this mean I have to guess the swatches?
I didn't. None of them is marked, so I had to guess too. So okay, we'll start with an easy one.
I didn't know about this.
We'll start with an easy one. We're all going to guess the swatches. Okay, this is easy.
That looks like Noro.
This is Noro. But what do you think? You remember what this is? I mean, right?
Do I?
Where's Rita? Rita, you know what this is. You know what this is the swatch of, right? This is a swatch of, I'm listening. This is a swatch of what?
Silk Garden?
Guess again.
Kurion.
Kurion. Yes.
Kurion. It doesn't have as many of the bumps and the bumps and skinny things. Yeah.
And
Kurion.
what else? I mean, think about okay, so here's a swatch of Silk Garden.
That's true. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So there's a difference. There's definitely a difference here between the, let's get you up so you can see this and this, right?
So this is really matte.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is wool and 100% wool. Kurion is 100% wool. Whereas Silk Garden is mohair and silk. And you can see how sort of shiny it is.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to take it up here close so I can see. Is this the right spot?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We can see that.
All right. So you see how it's kind of shimmery and how you have the way that the fibers are. You know, they've taken the dye a little bit differently. So when you have a yarn that's got some blended fibers like that, you're going to have the dye is going to look a little bit different. So this is also, even though they're the same gauge, this has a silky hand.
Yeah. It's very soft compared to what the Kurion feels like. The Kurion feels good, but it is definitely a more structured thing.
Right. And now this is much looser gauge.
Right.
But look how, in terms of drape, I mean, I can hold that and it's going to hold up. This
is just kind of floppy.
Right.
Which is kind of fun.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions that we get asked all the time is, what yarn is good for what? Right. So think in terms of a yarn that has a lot of structure, right? Being good for something that you want to have a lot of structure. So if you want a garment that's going to hold its shape, right? That's going to be, I hate to say a little stiff, but a little stiff. Right. And this is just going to have a lot more drape. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to be maybe as great for a jacket. Do you know what I mean?
But it's going to be wonderful for some kind of a drapey shawl,
right?
Or a loose, pullover.
Yeah, or a sweater that you want to have drape.
Right.
Like this is a sweater made of Silk Garden that has quite a bit of drape.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we tend to think about Noro exclusively for the colors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, the color combinations in Noro are usually spectacular. So those are the things that when you look at the Noro yarns, and that's I think what people generally go for, is that's how they choose a particular Noro yarn, is because of the color. And and I think it's just the last couple of years that Noro has come out with the stuff that's not strictly the striping yarns. And so, but there's still the color combination is there of what they're doing, whether it's a kind of a tweedy look or a soft kind of variance in the color.
Yeah, almost a hand-dyed effect.
Yeah, almost a hand-dyed effect. Yeah.
But I think part of what makes their stuff special is that it does have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different fibers in a single skein of something, in a single fiber. And, the question, of course, is why do they do that?
Because each fiber adds its own little thing to it.
Right.
And it makes it really special. And it's sort of interesting. I had a customer in the other day who had purchased a yarn a number of years ago, and she had run out of it and she was looking for it, and it's not available now. And so we're trying to come up with something that was sort of similar. And it was a yarn that had some cotton and some wool and a few, other things in it. It was a Noro yarn. And so we were looking at the Noro yarns that were that particular combination. Combinations weren't exactly the same,
Right.
It was, instead of 40%, it was 30% or 50% or something, and trying to come up. And what she ended up purchasing was one that wasn't exactly the same content, but the colors. It was the color that finally made the decision for her. It was going to be close enough. She was going to have to kind of play with the weight of the yarn and the gauge of the yarn, but it was the color that was the important thing. But at least the yarns were kind of similar in that they had the same fibers in them.
What did you pick? Because I know that was Teo, you said.
Yeah, it was Teo. She
Did
ended
you
up
pick
picking
Enka?
this. She ended up
Enka.
picking this. The Enka, because the Enka does have both the cotton and the silk and some wool and some polyamide, which is sort of what's in the Teo.
In the Teo,
in the Teo. But it's a little lighter. And so I told her, you're definitely going to have to swatch this and maybe play around. It was a blanket that she was doing. She was trying to finish up. So she might have to kind of just play around with the gauge and, make a few more stitches,
right,
in a row than she had before to continue it on.
So Enka, let's talk about Enka.
Let's talk about Enka.
Enka is a cotton yarn. It's
yarn.
Considered kind of a summer yarn, and I don't know that that's really fair to lump Noros into seasons, because you're always going to have a little bit of wool in something, and lots of people wear cotton all year round. I do, and some people can't wear wool at all.
Right.
So you swatched it. What did you think? Is this your first time swatching Enka?
Yes.
Okay.
It was my first time swatching Enka. And I mean, we had talked about Mary and Ellen and I were going to each pick a yarn that we could do a sweater in. And it was, we picked a sweater and said, okay, so we're going to work on, we'll choose a yarn that we would like to do this sweater in. And so I chose the Enka, which is it has the cotton in it. And so this was so first it says that it can be, it recommends anywhere from a 6 to an 8, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's a 5 to a 7. I think it says 5 to a 7. Right? Yeah. US 5 to 7. So I started, right? Isn't that US 5 to 7?
Yes.
So anyway, I started swatching with the 7. And so this bottom part that is the blue and the pale kind of creamy color, that's in the 7. And so then I decided that I would go to a 6 just to see what the difference was. And you can actually see immediately how it moved down, right? And one of my little
firmer. It's firmer. You have more
it's
structure.
a little firmer, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's a
when
little
you use
firmer.
a smaller needle and you knit it at a tighter gauge, you're going to have more structure.
I mean, it's the same number of stitches, but you can see that it has narrowed up because of it being, on a smaller needle. And so, but I was trying to decide which one do I really like.
I know.
So it doesn't have, one of my tests always is to hold it up to light and see how many holes I can see. But if I really wanted this for a summer sweater, I would probably go with the bigger one that has the looser weave and more air coming through.
But, I would say block it. I would say steam it because, Noro is a woolen spun yarn. Right. And so when you block it, those fibers that are going all different directions are going to relax and open up. So it won't feel.
It is one of the ones that has the thick and thin. So, I mean, there are parts of it that are.
They all do, don't they?
Narrow. Yeah. Most Noro yarns do tend to be thick and thin. And so there's some parts, I mean, and you don't notice it so much on the front part, but you definitely notice it over on the back.
Yeah, texture tends to the pearl side.
You can see, how different it looks in this area across as it does like down in this area where it's the thinner, this is where the thick stuff is. But I really like this yarn. And I'm probably going to end up making that sweater.
Yeah.
In this yarn.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure yet which gauge I'm going to use, but
So will you steam block that or will you wet block it?
It depends on whether I do it at home where I don't have a steamer. I will wet block at home.
You don't have an.
If I bring it in here, I will steam it in here. given that I'm here several days a week.
So, one of the things wanted to mention to you that next week, super excited because we are going to have Meg, who is the brand new shiny owner of Amy Herzog's Custom Fit Knits. She is going to be on the podcast with us. So that's super exciting. And I mention that because one of the things that they talk about in Custom Fit is finding the fabric. You shouldn't be able to stick your finger through the fabric like that.
Like that. Oh. So that means I can't use the 7.
You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying that you're not going to get
maybe
a
my
lot of
my finger doesn't fit through.
You have to poke it through. You have to try. I mean, I definitely had to try to do that.
Ellen's nails are a lot sharper than mine.
I just had them done, so they're not that sharp. I've seen some sharp nails. Have you seen those pointy nails? Those are some pointy nails.
I don't like those pointy nails, right?
Gina has pointy nails. I think they're very elegant, but how do you get anything done?
How do you get anything done with those pointy nails?
Hey, Mary. Hey, Gwen. All right, so your sweater, Ginny's sweater. Gwen wants to know what sweater you have on.
This is the Elizabeth Zimmerman.
Right? Oh, the baby surprise jacket.
Well, it's
the adult surprise.
It's the adult surprise because I don't fit into a baby size anymore.
So this is the adult surprise
The adult
jacket.
surprise by Elizabeth Zimmerman, which has been around for eons.
Yeah, it's kind of magic.
It's kind of magic. I've made baby surprises, I've made kid surprises, and I've made adult surprises. And it's a fun sweater to do. And
it's all worked in one piece.
It's all work in one piece. And
like all one piece. And it's not top down.
And when you see the one piece, when it's done, you can't really understand what you're supposed to do with it. But it's just a matter of folding it the proper way and seaming up shoulder seams.
She really was kind of a
genius. Elizabeth Zimmerman was a genius.
Yeah.
She absolutely was a genius. And her daughter has continued on with
Meg Swanson.
Meg Swanson has continued on with a lot of her stuff. So it's still available out there. There are Elizabeth Zimmerman books out there that if you have an opportunity to pick one up someplace, pick it up and read it because it's just a fun read.
It is. She's a great, really, really playful, really insouciant way of thinking about knitting, you know.
I mean, she came up with some super things and as I said, when you start knitting this particular thing, you think, what am I doing?
How did you figure it out?
Where is this going?
Yeah.
And by golly, you finish with this thing that's kind of, this just a little piece, but if you fold it properly, it suddenly makes sense. And it's like, oh, I need to seam there, and I'm done.
Right. It's got one seam right here
and one seam down here.
Yeah. It's very cool.
It is. It is very cool.
Yeah.
And
I'm not an all-in-one piece person, but she had some decent. She did the traditional kind of Nordic, in the round things, which are intended to be knit in the round.
Yeah.
A lot of yoked sweaters. Mm-hmm. So, but this is all knit stitch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is garter. Yeah. You look at it; it's all garter. Right. Yeah. So.
And what's magical about it too, in addition to the fact that it's all in one piece and all this stuff, is that if you use a Noro, the stripes all match. But even if you don't use Noro, if you just use like scraps, they all match. Because
of the way she has done this. I mean, you could see, these lovely right angles that she's got in here. I mean, it is just so beautiful. And you can kind of adjust the size. I've made mine a little longer than some of the others might be. So,
yeah. But you had to pick up on that. So you pick up if you're going to make it longer.
You're going to make it longer.
Yeah. So that's a fun Nora. That was was that a cotton or a wool? That was a wool.
This is a wool.
I think we decided that was.
This was Eero.
I always get them mixed up.
Right.
I'm always saying the wrong thing.
Right. So
okay. So
we're back to the test.
Oh, it's not a test. It's not a test. Every time I ask Bill something, he's like, Is this a test I can fail? Right. Is this a test I can fail? Gee, honey, what do you think about this sweater? Is this a test I can fail?
There is no right answer. Right?
Oh, yes, there is. There is a right answer.
It looks really good on you.
That's the right answer. Yeah. All right, let's see. Nice, one piece. Yes. All right, cool. Oh, and I wanted to mention to Rita, who loves her heart scarf, but hopes that it will soften when washed.
Yes,
It absolutely will
Mhm.
soften when washed.
Yep.
That's a beautiful thing about Noro. It does seem a little bit rough, maybe a little bit. It's just not smooth because of the way that it's spun. Again, it's a woolen spun. But when you wash it, all of those fibers kind of relax and smooth down, and they plump up, and they're beautiful. It's a completely different fabric. It's like felted tweed. Same thing.
Yeah.
When you
felted
felt-
tweed
when you-
feels really weird when you're knitting with it, but when you wash it, block it, it kind of goes, it morphs.
It does.
It becomes something different,
Right.
and you love it.
Absolutely. And you might not love it beforehand.
Right.
Okay. So want to talk about some other sort of popular blends. Everything has a little bit of wool. This is a wool and silk blend. This is one of my favorite combinations, is wool and silk. This is mono silk blend,
Right.
and this is 70% wool, 30% silk, hand dyed. It's beautiful. Part of what makes it really pretty is that it's a single ply, and single plies are really, really soft. But that softness and durability are on the opposite ends of the spectrum. So here's another one. Do you remember this one? I noticed what this was my swatch for that sweater.
That's the Barocco silk.
Finley.
Huh?
Finley DK.
Oh, Finley DK.
Finley
Okay.
DK.
Finley DK. I thought you knew. Okay.
So beautiful. But again, silk makes things fragile. Have you noticed that? Like, you've knit stuff with a silk and wool blend, right?
Yeah. Well, I've done several things with the mono silk blends that I know. Yes. I mean, you need to watch the silk, because silk will stretch, and so it's good that it's with the wool, because
Right.
the wool keeps it from stretching. So
Yeah, the wool keeps it from stretching, but it doesn't keep it from pilling.
It doesn't. No, right. It pills. Yeah.
Right. So single plies pill like a big dog.
They do.
They do.
Anytime I put on anything that I've made out of the silk blend, it first goes on the ironing board in my razor thing, my shaver thing, right?
Yes, because of the little pills.
It has the pills.
And it does that because silk is such a smooth fiber.
Mhm.
It doesn't have that crimp that holds it in place. So it's wiggling around and, bumping up with its neighbor and, pilling up.
And pilling, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And pilling.
Right.
So soft fibers are going to do that.
Yeah.
And single plies are going to do that. So one of the questions, again, we get asked all the time, what's good for what? If you want a very sturdy, durable garment, don't pick something with silk in it. Don't pick a single ply. I mean, I love Moonshine. Moonshine. So let's talk about Moonshine. This is 3 fiber blend. This is wool, silk, and alpaca. It's a dreamy yarn. We've talked about Moonshine lots and lots.
Yeah.
Dreamy
I love
yarn.
Moonshine.
Single ply. So theoretically, it should pill like a big dog. Does it?
Not as bad as some of the others.
Not as bad as you would have thought, right?
Not as bad as you would think, right? It does have some pilling issues, because I've made several sweaters out of Moonshine, and it's the areas that I think that like for a cardigan,
Right.
It's the
underarms.
underarm and here. It's those parts that are rubbing against each other. A hat never seems to have a problem,
Right.
Well, because if you have a hat on, none of it's rubbing again,'st
Not unless you're doing this.
not unless you're with a friend and you're rubbing heads together. Right. Would that be a friend?
It would be very odd.
It would be a very odd friend, right? But I do love Moonshine. I love the way Moonshine feels, and I love the way it wears. Right?
How do you feel about drape? So when you think about moonshine, you've got two fibers that lack structure. Okay, you've got alpaca and
Right.
silk,
And silk. Right.
both of which are not bouncy, very limp.
Right.
But it's got the wool in there. But it feels like it has a pretty decent amount of structure.
It does have a decent amount of structure. The sweaters that I've made out of moonshine, they are not droopy sweaters.
No.
And I use the word droopy instead of drapey because there's a difference between droopy and drapey.
Oh, yes.
And so, as I said, I mean, I love the sweaters that I have made out of moonshine.
It's a soft silky yarn.
It's soft. It feels wonderful, and
It does.
And it's great to work with. I love to work with it.
I do too. We carry it in every color.
Yeah.
Somebody with Leah was in. She was asking about one of the colors,
Mm-hmm.
one of these forest greens. Both of the forest greens are discontinued.
Oh.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Right. So anyway, I think green must be kind of off the palette.
Off the palette this year?
Yeah. Did you see what the new color was?
No. What's the new color this year?
Katie was so happy. She called me. She goes, Mom, did you see the Pantone color? It's called Very Peri. It's a beautiful periwinkle.
Oh, okay.
It is so pretty.
Okay.
A lot of people are hating on it. Tell me what you think. Do you like periwinkle? Have you seen the Pantone color? And do you like it? So I would be interested in hearing your thoughts. Yeah. So it's like coffee talk. You can go ahead and talk. We can't call you. You can't call us, but you can comment.
So she's trying.
I'm trying.
She's trying.
I'm just a Southern girl.
I'm trying to train her into Jersey talk.
It's hard.
One of our other customers was in the other day and found out that she and I grew up not far from each other in North Jersey. And so we had this lovely conversation for about 15 minutes. And I think the other customers in the store were wondering what the hell was going on.
Lovely with that accent.
We were talking about having a cup of coffee and how when we grew up, though, that's the way you talked. Right? And we can go back to it anytime we want to because you grow up with something and it never goes away from you.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the way it is.
Yes.
I mean, I learned to talk when I lived in New England with a Boston accent.
Did you? Now,
course.
What happens when you go south of Richmond? You take me south of Richmond and I might as well be a Georgia peach.
I go south of Richmond. I can't understand a word anybody's saying. Very first trip we made to the South, we were down in North Carolina and, we had young children with us. And it was like, I couldn't understand anybody, including the police officers that, my husband asked if there was a place we could go get something to eat. And he explained that there was apparently something called a Tasty Freeze not far away.
A Tasty Freeze? Isn't that an ice cream place?
Yes. Yes, but I mean,
such disdain. Yes.
I mean, I don't know what he's talking about. I had no idea what he's talking about. I couldn't understand what he was saying.
Oh, Tasty Freeze. There's a Tasty Freeze. There's a Tasty Freeze. There's a Tasty Freeze down there.
But my husband, who went to high school in Virginia, was completely understanding.
Of course he did.
Of everything.
Of course he did. Absolutely.
So, I was a northerner.
Yes. I saw a coffee cup today. It said, I can go. I'll have to think about it. Never mind. Rita wants to know what kind of pillar you have.
Kind of pillar. Oh.
Do you still have the gleaner?
I do have the gleaner.
Yeah. Yes. Ginny has a gleaner. I have a little shaver.
Yeah.
It's got a little round thing that actually cuts the pills off.
Yeah.
Right. It's like my father used an electric razor when I was growing up. Norelco. Even the name says Merry Christmas. So this is kind of like that I use, but
we when how many years ago?
A
lot of years ago, we were at one of the show,
TNNA.
Industry show TNNA, and somebody was doing a demonstration with something called a gleaner. And it has like 3 different razor blade things in it
but they're not razors. They're like emerald boards.
They're not razors. They're not razors. There's just things that you sort of fit into the thing and then you sort of shave down this way. And so we bought a bunch of them and we sold a bunch of them here. But I'm not even sure whether they're still
I
available.
don't know. Do you love yours?
I
never
do.
got one.
I
'cause
like
had this-
I like mine because it has the three different levels that you can use. So
And the other end is like a
the
lint brush.
the under is like, that will pull out lint off your stuff. It, one of those typical kind of
Right.
fuzzy fiber things that will
Yes.
just, lift up lint.
It's
So,
like the 70s TV commercial.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Now,
Well,
how much would you pay?
And
but wait,
that's what I did when we had them here. I was doing the 70s. Yeah, I was doing the
Oh, that was
the
fun.
70s TV commercial. Anytime somebody would come in and ask about what you did with pills.
should we look for them? Should we get them?
Yeah, maybe we ought to see if we can still get those. Have some available if you're interested in it, because I think they're very handy.
I will not. Oh, ooh, Hey, Margarita. It's my friend Mimi. Nice to see you. Oh, look, she just found a gleaner on Amazon for $19.95. Yes, indeed. That's exactly how much they cost.
That's what they cost.
$19.95.
$19.95.
Of course they did. How much else would they cost?
How much else would they cost?
Right. But wait.
But I used to say, yeah, I mean, you can get this for $19.95 today.
Today only.
Today only. You can get this for $19.95.
And tomorrow only.
And tomorrow, if you come in tomorrow, you might be able to get it for $19.95. Depends on how nice you are to me.
Right? And if we have any left.
And if we have any left, right.
So you're going to get that gleaner, Rita? Yeah. What about Wawa? Hey, what about Wawa? Baba. Oh, Baba Wawa? Oh, Wawa. No, Wawa, the place where you... So that Wawa is like, that's a Pennsylvania place. That's like new, right? I mean, there was no Wawa where we are.
Well, Wawa's in Jersey.
Were they?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought they were
the
Pennsylvania.
Wawa is supposed to be like the goose noise, right? Isn't it?
I don't know.
The Wawa is the goose flying with the Wawa gas stations and stuff. That's a Wawa,
It's named after the sound of a goose?
I think that's what it's named after.
No, in New Jersey, gas place. Yeah, they have them down here, except, okay, is it Wawa or Sheetz that is the place that used to be a deli, right? And that's why all my kids love their sandwiches. They're like, oh my gosh, I have to go to,
I don't know.
I think it's Wawa.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know?
I mean, I only knew Wawas because they were in Central Jersey. They weren't in North Jersey. They were in Central Jersey.
Right.
So probably they were Pennsylvania.
Probably.
Since they were in Central Jersey.
Right. Okay, so I am knitting on Okunishima. Did I mention how much I like Okunishima? Let me just show you a couple things. Okay. All right. So this is a sweater I knit a million years ago. This is not Okunishima. This is a yarn.
Okunishima.
No, this is not Okunishima. But this is like the precursor of Okunishima. This is called Kosheron. And do you see? I'm going to show it up in the camera. Tell me when
It's got lots of fuzz.
It's got lots of fuzz. Can you see that? Is it showing up?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see all that fuzz? So it doesn't look like that when you're knitting it. All right. When you're knitting something that has a lot of Angora in it. So Angora is the fluff that comes from the rabbit, right? And it's very soft and it doesn't have any crimp, and it's like dandy fluff, right? Dandy, right? It's like dandy fluff. So in order to get it spun, they use a lot of spinning oil, right? Because they've carded it all together, but they use a lot of spinning oil to keep that fluff in control, under control. So when you knit with it, when you get it out of the skein and you knit with it, you don't see all the fluff, You don't see that fluff until you wash it like a couple times. Yeah. First time you put something with Angora in a little bath, that water is so grimy. You're like, oh my goodness. It's
dirty rabbits.
Literally brown. No, it's the oil. It's silly rabbit. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. So, but once you do wash out that oil, the fluff comes off. Now, not everybody's a fluff fan. I love fluff. So that's why I knit this, which is a huge component of mohair. Not mohair, Angora. So Angora is Angora and wool. And I don't remember exactly the proportion, but I want to say it was probably 50-50 or something like that.
Yeah, that was a really heavy one with the
Yeah,
Angora.
and this is it was a bulky yarn,
Yeah.
right? So Okunishima is a lighter yarn, and it has 20% Angora in it, and lots of other stuff too. I pulled the tag. I know it has silk, and I know here it is. It has silk and it has mohair. Let's see, 35% silk. So this is Okunishima now. 35% silk, 28% wool, 20% Angora, and 17% mohair. So that 20% of Angora, as we were talking about the volume of it, that's quite a bit. That's a lot of Angora.
Fluff.
Right. Not as much as the Kosharon. No, but definitely some. And it does, it does pill a little bit, but not so much. So I'm interested to see how this is going to behave. And see, now you can't put your finger through mine. It feels a little tight. I'm knitting that on an 8.
You're on an 8?
I'm on an 8. But that's a worsted weight yarn. Isn't that what it says?
Is that what it says?
7 and an 8.
7 and an 8. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So the same gauge as yours.
That's definitely much tighter than what this is. When
But this is cotton.
This is a cotton.
Cotton and
right?
silk.
But
Would you knit that? Would you knit that on a bigger yarn, a bigger needle? Oops.
I might. It would depend on what I was making and what kind of look I wanted. When it comes down to it, if you're going to make a sweater, you want to do something that pleases you.
I know.
So, it would depend on the sweater that I was going to make too. I mean, if
That's going to be a
warm
warm sweater.
This is going to be a warm sweater, and so probably I would think more about doing this as a cardigan, right? In fact, I was just talking to my husband before I came over here tonight that a lot of the sweaters, the Noro sweaters particularly that I have made, are they're cardigans. Because here, this climate, a cardigan, a heavier cardigan is more what is needed. I don't want a heavy pullover,
right?
Which is why I chose to do a cotton. If I was going to do a pullover, I would choose a cotton blend.
But you run hot. No, I run cold.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so Carolyn wants you to know that you're not to give her any crap about Tasty Freeze when you got a place called Wawa.
I'm with you there. I mean, where they come up with these names doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Margarita says Wawa was a deli in Baltimore when I went to college there.
Really?
She went to Johns Hopkins.
Oh,
she's a smarty pants.
Okay, so
okay, so Carolyn wants to know, does Angora shed? I have not had Angora shed any more than anything else. I mean, this stuff is going to shed. This cotton, any kind of non-mercerized cotton is going to shed.
It's going to shed.
And a lot of it has to do with the structure of the yarn. So plied yarn, yarn that's been twisted and then, plied together, multiple strands, is going to shed less than a single ply. But there are definitely fibers that are going to shed. Mohair is going to shed a little bit. Angora is going to shed a little bit. But a quality Angora, I have not had an issue like that. It's not like back in the day, when we all had Angora sweaters in high school and they were just poof, poof everywhere. Did you have an Angora sweater in high school? You probably didn't. I bet you Jennifer did. Did Jennifer have an? Yes.
You all understand that Ellen is the age of my daughter. Well, Ellen is younger than my daughter. She's between my daughter and my son. So
right.
I am Ellen's mother.
It's true.
When it comes to age.
She's my shop mother. Yeah. She's my shop mom.
Yeah. So when we talk about what happened in high school, there's a difference of what happened in the 50s and what happened in the 70s.
Right. Well, take it as a compliment that I think of you as a peer.
As a peer.
Right.
Okay.
As a, what's the word?
Definitely
a contemporary. Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Words are hard. Words are hard. So no, I don't think the Angora sheds any more than anything else. And You do notice that I'm wearing white pants. I wear a lot of white pants with my Angora. So if it does shed, you're not going to see it
Right.
because Angora is not that great at taking dye. It doesn't take dye as well as other fibers, you know, so a little bit, but
ornery rabbits.
you're always going to get a little bit of a white, you know,
Mhm.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're always going to get a little bit of a white component with the Angora, but it's not 100% Angora. And they do that, as I said in the newsletter. Did you read the newsletter? That they're very conscious about what they put in there. You know, the mohair has it like a silky bit, and I think it does some binding to it. And you know, the wool, of course, is super bouncy, and the silk. So Angora, like cashmere, is very matte. You know, it doesn't have any shine. So I think they put the silk and the mohair in there for a little shine.
Yeah. So, and I think it's great that there are people who have the ability to do all of that stuff so that I don't have to worry about it.
That's right. You don't have to think about it.
I don't have to think about it. I can just pick something that I think looks really nice and feels really nice, and I want it.
Right. Mine.
Mine.
Swats it precious. Right. Okay. So one of the things I also wanted to talk about is why there's something called polyamide in your yarn. Okay. So I called Christina Allen.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
So Christina Allen is a Renaissance woman in our community, and she is an incredible woman. You know, she grows all her own food. She lives completely, practically off the grid. She's an artist and a painter and a publisher and an author and oh my gosh, just amazing. She's also a shepherdess, a spinner, a weaver, and a knitter. Spinner and weaver first.
Yes.
Right. So that's kind of her thing is she's a spinner and weaver first.
Because she raises sheep.
Right. And I mean, she doesn't just raise the sheep and send them off to be shorn or slaughtered.
She does it.
She does it. She does it. She is amazing. Amazing. Yeah. She's from New Hampshire.
She's from New Hampshire, and she went to the University of Rhode Island.
Right. So
got her art degree in the University of Rhode Island.
Yeah. So, very cool. So artist. Did I mention artist? So she does watercolors, mainly watercolors.
Yeah, mostly watercolors, and she does a lot of illustrations for books, for children's books. Right. So,
yeah, and she was publishing a children's book, and she didn't like the way that the publishing thing was going, so she started her own publishing company.
She started her own publishing company.
Right. She's done quite a few things.
She has.
Yeah, she says she's all done publishing though.
Oh, really?
Been there, done
she
that.
She just released another book.
Yes, she did.
Yeah,
there's some back there for Mary.
Yeah, that just
okay. So why does this have polyamide in it? And here's what she told me, and I had no idea. Polyamide apparently is very elastic. It's incredibly bouncy. So this is a yarn. This doesn't have wool, right?
This has a little bit of wool.
A little bit of wool,
but it's cotton. You know,
right?
And
so
cotton doesn't have elasticity.
Has no elasticity.
Yeah, cotton is not an elastic fiber.
So the polyamide in there gives it the kind of bounce that wool would.
Right.
And that's what it does in Sonata, which is another. So this is Sonata. This is a fingering weight cotton blend. We tend to think of this as a summer yarn, but again, it's really a seasonless yarn. 35% cotton, 25% viscose. Viscose, as you know, is rayon. 20% silk and 20% polyamide. And I'm pretty sure that the polyamide is in there for strength and a little bit of bounce.
A little bit of bounce.
Not that this is a bouncy yarn. This is not a bouncy yarn.
No, actually, it was when they came out with Sonata. Was it 2 years ago that Sonata came out?
I don't know. I lost all of 2020.
Well, it was before 2020 because we were just starting to do the little tasting kits.
Yes.
And I had the yarns at home.
For your shawl.
And I started doing the little swatches and the stuff and the little packets of the Sonata. And I texted Ellen and said, this is unlike any Noro yarn I have ever seen or held
Yeah,
before.
it's crazy.
Because, first of all, I mean, it didn't have that striping to it. And the feel of it was just so different from anything that we had before. And this is, was in the Noro magazine this past summer, right?
Yeah.
This one that, let's do it this way so you can see the right side of it. And I mean, this was fun to do. And a couple of people have made this here. It just feels wonderful as you're working with it.
It's super nice because a
Yeah.
lot of your shawl patterns call for fingering weight wool.
Right.
And some people just really don't want to work with wool for whatever reason.
Right.
They don't like the feel of it or whatever. So this is a great alternative.
Yeah.
Fingering weight. And you can actually work that at a DK gauge, I think.
I think you probably could.
Yeah. Definitely would be wearable at a DK gauge. Very pretty all season garments out of this.
Yep.
I think that would be lovely. And it comes in a just amazing array of colors. So we're almost out of time, but I did want to also show one of my favorite yarns. I have to tell you, Silk Garden really is my favorite. But this one, Tsubami, this was introduced spring of 2020. This is 50% wool, 50% silk, I think.
Tsubami.
Yeah. So this is a really nice one. So this has a great striping, as you can see. So this is a great feel. Mindy, you've worked with this before. I know that you probably like this. So anyway, so I think that we've probably kept you long enough. There's a lot of other fabulous Noros that we didn't get a chance to talk about, like this Miyabi, which has a lot of cashmere in it. Super Luxe. Have you knit with this?
I have not.
This would be a great sweater.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. But anyway, so I just wanted to thank you guys for joining us. We had fun.
Yeah.
I had fun.
I had fun.
I hope you
I always
guys had
have
fun. I hope you guys had fun.
You need to listen next week. I won't be here next week.
You won't?
No.
That's right.
We're heading off to my daughter's for
Right.
Christmas.
Right.
But the Meg from the
Meg.
Custom Knit. I mean, you guys are all familiar with Custom Knit. And I love the Custom Knit program.
Yes.
So I have several sweaters that I have done with Custom Knit because they fit me.
Right.
I can
Your
lengthen,
tall, skinny
I can
self.
lengthen my sleeves. I can lengthen what needs to be done here because my body is such that I go into a store and there's nothing there that fits me. So
Yes.
ever since I was about 13 years old, and that was a long time ago.
So it'll be very cool for I think for you to hear from Meg what her thoughts are, what the future holds for it, and ask all those questions about custom fit. And I talk about it all the time because I love it too. But I think it's going to be really great to hear from her and really meet her, and I think you'll sort of see exactly what's involved. It's a very powerful program.
Yeah, I think it's a great program. I'm so thrilled that there is something out there like that.
Yeah,
and that it's continuing.
Yes, we were so afraid it was going to go away.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, can't do this.
Right,
they can't do this to us.
Right. So anyway, we are up, and I thank you again for joining us. And until next time, keep knitting and create something beautiful.
And don't forget to put something in your car.
Put some knitting in your car, and don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. Okay. Bye.
Bye.